to enable the Auburn Housing Authority staff to improve their performance through vision, training, and career development, to establish performance goals that meet or exceed industry standards. Okay. Our goals and objectives. Goal 1, to create and maintain a website that appropriately reflects the Auburn Housing Authority. Goal 2, to provide the AHA residents with a current and accurate resident handbook stating the policies, rules, and regulations of the Auburn Housing Authority. Goal 3, to work with the local emergency management committee to update our current emergency management plan. Goal 4, to provide the AHA residents with a monthly newsletter to improve communication with the residents. Goal 5, to update the plan of management for the authority to reflect current information. A report on the goals of the previous 5-year plan. The Auburn Housing Authority became a smoke-free environment at all our properties as of September 1st, 2012. We have had a great deal of success and have been asked by a number of housing authorities across the state how we accomplished this. The Auburn Housing Authority has worked very hard to provide our residents with as much information about what services are available to them. A part-time community outreach worker has been added to accomplish this task. The Auburn Housing Authority is currently planning the first semi-annual Crime Watch meeting. The local police department, the Worcester District Attorney's Office, and the Worcester County Sheriff's Department will be asked to present crime-related information to our residents. Under housing needs, the Auburn housing waiting lists are extensive. The average wait for a unit is 4 to 6 years. The town of Auburn has not met the affordable housing goals set for the town. The town has not focused on creating affordable housing. Auburn has a growing elderly population, and the Auburn Housing Authority cannot meet the demand for affordable housing. And under additional information, the Auburn Housing Authority is an agency that is sought out by individuals seeking quality housing at an affordable price. Maintenance repairs are dealt with promptly, and our REAC inspection scores have been good. The AHA is always fully leased. The AHA works closely with the residents to meet their needs in a dignified manner. Substantial deviations and significant amendments or modifications are defined as discretionary changes in the plans of policy of the Auburn Housing Authority that fundamentally change the mission, goals, objectives, or plans of the agency, and which requires approval from the Resident Advisory Board and the Board of Commissioners. And yeah, 2 wheels. And misspelled commissioners. So that'll have to be changed before it's submitted. Okay? Now the biggest thing that we have to look at is the work items that we have completed and that we need to complete. So,
I'm going to say, you leaving already?
yeah, look. Here's my board. Okay, so all the grants prior to 2011 have all been completed. So if you look at our wait, can you read what I wrote?
Yes, I'm fine.
But I mean, can you read it?
Read it out.
No, I really
For
can't.
2011, all right.
Okay, 2011 is $58,969.
Okay, and on that grant, we had toilets for Stoneville Heights, we have generators for here in Packagug Village, and that absorbed this full amount, so that grant is now complete. I just have to have it signed off by the board and HUD. Okay, so our 2012 grant, what's
It's $53,382.
Okay, so we purchased the truck, we purchased the toilets for Stoneville Heights, we purchased the windows for Packagug Village, and we're in the process of purchasing a chain link fence for Pinebrook Court to go in between the neighbor and Unit 1 down at Pinebrook. And that right now there's like a rickety chickeny coop fence kind of deal. Looks terrible. So we're going to get rid of that and replace that. So this grant is still open and will be complete with the purchase of the fence. So then that moves us to
2013.
13.
And the amount is $77,132.
Okay, so we're going to be replacing flooring at Stoneville Heights kitchen and bathrooms. A lot of residents have requested new kitchen floors, new bathroom floors. And if they haven't had one since I've been here, they're going to get one. And then Packagug Village, the same thing. The buildings were built in 1995, so the floors are starting to get dated. So we're looking at replacing the kitchen and the bathroom floors there. And then at Pine Brook Court, we're getting estimates for roof replacement because those buildings are going to be 20 years old, so we need to start the roof cycle. So once we get a price on one roof, we're going to kind of have to figure that they'll be pretty close because the buildings are pretty much the same. Okay, so this grant is still completely open. None of this money has been spent. Okay, so then when you look down here,
2014, it's $100,698.
see what I mean about the jump in the amount they gave us?
Yes,
That's because of the high performer.
that's right.
So it does make a big difference in price. So this is an open grant. None of this money has been spent. So we're going to try to do the kitchen counters at Stoneville Heights. We figure the buildings are old, and we need to start replacing the inside pieces. So residents have expressed a desire to have the kitchen counters replaced. A lot of them have cut marks, some of them have burn marks. And this way, if we just go through and do all of them, we're good to go. And then we're also going to look at flooring. We're replacing some carpets. We're doing kitchen and bath floors here, but I want to start replacing the flooring in the hallways because the hallways look really lousy. And they get a lot of abuse, you know, wear and tear. So we're going to start replacing the hallway floors and the landings for the stairs. So that's that. And then Packagug Village, we're going to start, we're in the process of getting estimates for the roofs at Packagug. And then we're going to continue with the roofs down in Pine Brook because we probably can only do 3 a year because the pot of money has to be divided between the 3 developments. Stoneville, Packagug, and Pine Brook Court.
Because
Okay.
it's federal housing.
All right, so that's where we are right now. So the purpose of this meeting is to see how we're going to move forward. You know, like what other work items do we need to put in the plan that haven't been accounted for? So I had a meeting with residents and we came up with some additional items. And if you have any, if you don't have, if what you think should be done isn't on this list, now's the time to say it. Okay?
Does anybody have anything they want to ask or anything that they want to add so far?
Well, I don't know what's on the list.
Excuse
Right.
me, would you please say
She
your
doesn't
name?
know, she doesn't have, no, it's not that.
Oh, it's a public meeting. All right.
On this plan,
She didn't say what she wanted to say.
No, no.
she wants to know what's on this
Right.
list.
Tell us what's on the list.
Okay, so for 16, we're looking at cameras, medicine cabinets for all 60 units, and cameras and medicine cabinets for Packagug, cameras and windows for Pine Brook. So all the places are going to be kind of on the same page, getting the same amount of work done, but obviously they don't have as many units as we have here, so theirs will be spread out different. And then in 2017, we're going to do additional hallway flooring. We're going to replace the bathroom vanities at Stoneville, also at Packagug, and also at Pine Brook. And then in 18, I put hallway flooring, bathtubs, because on some of these units, as people are getting older, we need to figure out how to buy those tubs that have the piece that comes out, or, I mean,
The walk-in tub?
yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have any other than the handicap units. So I think if we start replacing tubs, it should be with the walk-in, you see them on TV.
They agree. I think
Walk-in
there was a
tubs.
comment on that though. Something I know has one, and they said you have to be sitting there in cold, and you gotta wait for the water to come up. Then you gotta wait for the water to go down in the meantime, before you can open the door.
But they are good.
Yeah, they're good, but, you know.
My nephew had one in Florida, and I found it very comfortable to use.
No,
There's one little thing about it, but
Well, maybe they could use the shower.
yeah.
Use the part to walk in, shut the door, and then use the
Yeah.
shower, right?
Yeah.
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 I mean, how many people take a
like
bath?
them. I like them.
I mean, you have time, right?
That was comment so many times one time. It was so
Well, I have to replace the bathtubs anyway, so I'm trying to be progressive and go with like a tub that people can get into when they keep having a tough time getting in the tub. Okay, so that's where all of a sudden the bathtubs are going to start coming into play. We replaced a bathtub at the family unit and it cost us $2,500. So there's going to be some money in tubs, but I mean, maybe some of them can be glazed. I keep getting these things about glazing the tubs. So maybe that's a possibility for the ones that aren't really bad, but some of them I'm sure. And then when I say the tubs, chances are good we're going to need to replace the floor in the bathroom at the same time. But as long as the work items are on the plan, I can bump the work up. Like in other words, once we vote on this and turn this in, the work items can be moved up, but I can't spend capital money on anything that isn't in the plan.
Have you considered roll-in showers for the handicap units? So if someone's in a wheelchair, they would just be able to roll right into a shower rather than trying to be lifted over the edge of a tub, into a tub?
So would that be different than a bathtub? All right, so why
They're
don't we,
handicap showers. They have like a little lip on them, and you can literally be in your wheelchair and roll right into the shower.
all right, so we'd need 3 of them. It would be just in the handicap units.
Right.
So we'd need 3 at Packagug, because we have 3 handicap units up there, and we have 6 here. So if we put in roll-in shower, right? For Stoneville and Packagug, how much you figured it?
I don't have any idea.
5,000.
I don't know.
Because they have to put a special floor, special sidings.
But it seems to me
No, it's a
that would
good
be
thing.
the most
I think it's a
possible
good
thing to
idea.
do.
7,000? It's just a guess.
Yeah.
You're better off getting
I really
that.
have to get a price.
I don't
Yeah, but I gotta have something put on this. It doesn't have to be exact.
I
Well,
would
let's
put
say
this-
5.
So we'll say 5.
I don't think it's that much, but 2,500
But
for
if
one
we have
tub,
to
I
do the
don't know.
floor
Oh, I
too.
don't know, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
5,000.
But I mean, it seems to me the most practical thing to have in a handicap unit.
Yes, definitely. I agree.
And another thing, I've been looking up on the internet, ADA compliant inspectors. I
Yes.
want an inspector to come out here that knows like signage, that knows how high the toilet paper thing is supposed to be,
Right.
and how close it is supposed to be to the toilet for anybody that has challenges.
And most elderly people have challenges.
So
yeah.
they have actual inspectors that come out and they'll tell you that your parking lot spaces aren't big enough, your signs for handicap parking
I have
aren't
to be such a size.
high enough. And this way, we'll know exactly, like, if there's a dip in the parking lot, we'll know how much of a dip we have and how much is going to have to be filled in. And that way, they'll go into the handicap accessible units and see if we're in compliance with what we have currently. Because we ask maintenance to put a shower bar in or a bar next to the toilet to make it easier for people to get up. But I don't know that we're putting them in the right space. You know, like they're not measuring from the floor to the window or whatever, but at least this way we'll get a better idea of what we're supposed to have.
It's a good idea, Lori.
Are the inspections only going to be in the federal units, or are they going to include the 59 in the private package car?
It's only going to be in the handicap units,
Only the handicap units, but all developments.
in all the developments, including Auburn Heights. So I think if we go and do it in all, I mean, I don't know about doing it in all the units. I don't think that that's really necessary. I mean, unless we have somebody that we know that is disabled living in a regular apartment, then maybe we could have that apartment checked.
Because we're not going to be able to do them all at once.
Right. But I mean, at least this way we'll get an idea once they start and tell us what we need, then we can go forward. And then as plans go out, now these plans can always be changed. It's just work. Do you know what I mean? So we're saying these things today, but if something happens after I turn it in and they approve it, I can always redo it and then have them approve it again in case if there was something else to come up. So say this inspector comes in and tells us we have a huge problem with our handicap units, then we reassess our plan and put those items in here. You know what I mean? It's kind of a fluid, it's a fluid plan.
Right, well,
Because-
it's 5 years.
Right, and this is the thing, we're looking at, I mean, I haven't even spent the money from 13 yet.
Are you in danger of losing them if you
No.
don't spend it?
No.
No.
Because all the work items for 13, you have 3 years.
3 years?
You have 3 years to spend it. So the 13 money doesn't need to be spent until 16, and we're in 14 now. But I didn't want to just go out and spend the money, because if we need it for something else, at least we have the money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Do you have any disabled persons that have requested a reasonable accommodation to a regular unit that you have not been able to accommodate because of money?
We have people that are on a second floor that have asked to be moved to a first floor. But we don't have a unit available to move them to.
But have they asked you for any changes within the unit to accommodate their physical disability?
I know of one resident in state housing that has asked for upgrades to their handicap unit. And that would be rolling, I would think, like a rolling shower. But that's on the state side, that's not the federal side, and that's not what we're discussing here. But yes, in answer to your question.
And so long as the people know here that we can't spend state money on federal property, and we can't spend federal money on state property. It has to be
I
separated.
think everyone understands that.
Well, not everybody out there in TV land understands that.
So I looked at this as kind of a rough draft, and if we need to
For the second.
make changes to it, then we can always make the changes based upon what this
Well, you
is.
can put it in anyway, that's the main thing.
Right. And if we say all of a sudden we have trouble with the showers, bathtubs at Pinebrook, we can always bump it up. And I figure we're going to replace the tubs 9 times out of 10, you have to do the flooring. And if you're going to replace the the sinks, then that means the faucets and the guts to the
Plus, in the meantime, where it's 5 years out, new things may come in that we would
Emergencies.
want to, yeah, so that we may want to change some of the things and yet have the money to do it.
When you do vanities, you probably run into problems with pipe and have extra piping because of corrosion.
Does anybody have any other items they'd like to see in the plan?
It's like a good plan, Robert.
Do you have any items, Ian?
No, I don't. I'm just glad that actually Ian brought up the thing about the handicap.
Yes.
I think that was a real good thing, and hopefully we can get that done too.
Well, on the state side, the state plan went in, but I'll be doing one again in 6 months. And that's when I think we can look at, after this inspector comes through, maybe they can make better recommendations.
Yeah, you don't want to spend money and make a mistake and have to redo it all over.
And that's what I'm thinking.
No, yeah.
Because there were other things that, there was a stove, I don't know, there's a stove with slanty, like the handicap units have a cooktop and a wall oven. But they're asking for a cooktop that has the dials that slant. So I don't even know if such a thing exists and they've seen it somewhere else. Or,
You mean like in the front of the unit?
I think so.
So instead of being flush with the counter, they'd be pointed downward, which would be easier for
It would
somebody
make
in a
it much
wheelchair
easier for somebody in a wheelchair
to utilize.
to actually utilize the stove. But I don't know if such a thing exists, and that's why I figure if I get this inspector in there, I can ask them.
Because they're up
Get
on
some good ideas from him,
Yeah.
and we'll wait to get them.
And then there was another thing, where the refrigerator is located, it's difficult to open the refrigerator for somebody that's in a wheelchair because of the way it's placed in the wheelchair unit. But then it's a matter of reconfiguring the whole. Because of this one request, I started thinking, well, I'm not gonna start moving the appliances because I don't know what's the best way to move them. So if I can get this inspector person come in, give us an idea of where the best spot is, then we can work with the resident and say, well, okay, if we put it here, will you be able to will it be accessible to you?
Especially when you're doing the floors and everything, to have to move everything around.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, we're only going to do it once, and hopefully we'll do it right.
Will
So
this inspector also comment on things for people that are blind?
I would assume. I mean, it's ADA compliance.
Well, that should
So
be
that's
then.
all American disabilities. It should include everything.
Yeah.
Because we do have people here that are legally blind.
Mhm.
So maybe we can find new ways to improve their quality of living somehow. Our population is just getting older. And I think the more that we can do and be ahead of the game,
Better off.
the better off we are.
Yeah, that's,
Because they're trying to have people age in place because of the cost of the nursing homes. And once you go to a nursing home, that's pretty much it. I mean, very few ever come home. So the longer we can keep people here safely, I think the better.
Makes a big difference in quality of
Yeah.
life. Yeah.
While I realize we're talking about federal housing and the 5-year pay for federal housing, the fact that you brought up the ADA inspector and going into giving the state units, I just had a question. And I know it's not causally related to the 5-year federal plan, but if the inspector finds things in the state housing units that are not ADA compliant, are we going to be able to handle correcting those measures once we know that they're wrong?
Because I'm going to change the state plan.
Right.
Well, I did it the first time. I should be able to fix it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I did this
Especially when it comes to
plan.
ADA.
I mean, we're not paid to have these plans done anymore. We used to pay
Right.
before me.
I know.
We always had a consultant do them. Well, we're saving the $3,000. I'm doing them myself. And it takes me a few times to get it right. Like this plan, the last one I submitted, there were 3 revisions. But it's not like they charge you. You just keep sending it in, and they'll correct it for you, and you save the $3,000.
That's good.
I always thought it was ridiculous to use.
Well, and this is the thing. So we're not using a consultant. I'm doing it myself. When I call and ask them for help, they're very good about helping me. And that's it. If I have to keep revising it to get it right, then that's what I do.
That's great, and that's what they're there for too, is to help.
And they will. You know, and especially if I go back to the state and say, well, I had this ADA compliance person come in and we're not in compliance, I need to change my plan. They're going to be more than willing to do that. And there may even be state money available
to help with
some of those upgrades. You know?
That would be good.
It would be a big help. And we're getting to the point where, as our inspections are getting better, we're getting more money, but we're looking for, like, we're kind of reaching for things because we're keeping up on the painting. We're keeping up on the maintenance repairs. They're not letting you use capital fund money on the HUD side anymore for vehicles or equipment. So we bought the generators at the right time, and we bought the trucks at the right time. I mean, they would probably let us, because our scores have been high, and unless they could show that, oh, by the way, we came out and your roofs are leaking, why did you buy a truck when you needed to replace your roof? We're not in that situation. So the better we keep the properties up, the more money they're going to give us, and the more leeway we have. But I think some housing authorities are buying vehicles and their properties aren't doing real well on the inspections. So HUD turned around and said, why are you buying trucks when you have floors that have big holes? You know, I mean, you're not keeping your property up, but yet you're buying vehicles.
Yeah, because those are health and safety issues, both.
So they sent out a letter, oh, by the way, you're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to approve it. And if you have them in your plans, then you need to take them out. But fortunately for us, ours were done in 2011. So we're well past, we've already been reimbursed, done deal. And we'll just maintain what we have. I mean, we could take it out of our reserves, and we have money in reserves. If for some reason we needed something, we're just not going to use their capital fund money in order to pay for it. And the state doesn't allow you to do it anyway. So I think that part of it is good.
The maintenance means so much, and I think that our maintenance people, under Lori's direction, have done an excellent job of keeping the properties up.
Yeah, they do really good. In case there was a storm, of course we're hearing about all these storms out in the Midwest and all that. In case we had a storm in this area and our property, housing property was damaged, would that come under the insurance, or would the state or federal help with repairs?
We have insurance. It depends on what it is. I mean, if it's a natural disaster, when you look at what happened with in New Orleans, at different areas, you see where HUD steps in to help rebuild those housing authorities, but I don't know what they have for insurance. We have, you know, I think they look at it on a case-by-case basis. And what you have in reserves. I mean, we're actually a healthy housing authority financially, so they might ask us to spend our own money before we go looking to somebody else for money, which we will do. And we would use our own money before we even put in a claim for insurance, because then you're... Yeah, so I mean, as long as you have money in the bank, you're good. And if you don't just blow it and you hang on to it for a little while,
That's good.
you have the money in case you need it for something else. So I think in that way, I mean, I don't know what other work items. I want to look at sidewalks and like the landscaping, but I would rather fix the bathrooms and the interior of the apartments first, because everything's always changing. And once I get the disability guy to come through, if the sidewalks aren't right, like I know some of them, the land has, and the sidewalk may be too high, and there's like a gap, so if you were walking down the sidewalk and you weren't watching where you were going, you could actually fall off the side and get hurt. But I need to know from him or her how far, how much loom we need to add, and then reseed it. But I don't want to do any of that until I actually get somebody in, and that's their business, and they're going to sign off on it.
It's good.
I mean, on the state side, even as far as the lead went, if we had to remove lead, we would have been, having to spend money. We had to redo the plan for that. Fortunately, as it works out, we don't need to do that. So now we can take the time and money and put it into items. And I'm going to have to pay labor costs because a lot of this work our maintenance can't do.
Right.
You need licensed plumbers, licensed electricians, people that can pull a permit. So we're going to have labor costs associated with a lot of these items, which is all right.
You have to do what you gotta do.
And maintenance does what they can do, and we still have other things that they're gonna be doing. Like Packagug has a lot of rotted wood still around the windows. We have windows in storage. We're gonna have a contractor come in to put the windows in. I have a contractor giving us prices for installing the vinyl siding at Pheasant Court. We already have the vinyl siding purchased. It's in storage, just waiting for a contractor to pull a permit, and here we go. And it'll look a lot better down there. It'll look a lot better. And hopefully the kids won't write on the wall. So I don't know.
Well, that sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, is there anything else in here, Marty? Does anybody have any questions, any comments? Okay.
You in? So it's pretty, you think if the disability person comes in, we'll get a better sense?
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think you've got some issues. I know you have some issues.
But you figure nothing has been done since the buildings were built. So if any work we do, we have to be up to current standards.
Oh, I totally agree. I think you're going to find in front of Packagug Village, you've got some serious issues. So I hope that Dustin's can be ready.
Well, it can be. You're gonna have the right people involved and
Right, we need
do
a
an
professional to
inspection.
come in and tell us what it is our obligations are per the law, and then we'll go from there. But I mean, at least we have the money available to do it. I just have to rewrite the plans. But I'm not going to rewrite the plans until I know exactly
What's needed?
what's expected, and so that we're in compliance.
And looking around at some of the other housing authorities, we're in very, very good shape. If you look at some of these other housing authorities as you go along that are state and federal units that are in really sad shape. So I think we're really
Well, the federal properties seem to be ahead of the state
state.
properties right now because we just started getting capital money from the state. So we've had capital money for a while now in federal, but now the state's starting to catch up. And once we get the roofs done, that's a big expense out of the way. Then we can take another look. But I mean, the tub idea, I really would like to go with a walk-in tub on all the units,
I think I'd like it.
elderly disabled,
I think I'd go for that.
you know.
that would
I have trouble.
Well,
I have
it's,
trouble getting in and out now. I have to show my legs high enough to
right.
well, if it prevents somebody from falling, then that's
Yeah.
not the worst thing. And in the back, there's a piece that comes out in the tubs, in the back package. but not everybody has that.
No, that was in Trudy's place, yeah.
But then, that's where you see the age of the apartments and what was required when they were built.
Okay, are you ready to close the hearing then?
Anybody have anything to say?
Yeah, one question. On those tubs, you sure there's showers in them? Because everything on TV, the commercial is,
They handheld.
yeah, you gotta get in them and close the door and fill it up with water. I don't know if they have a shower. You should check into that.
Oh, yeah.
The hand
Yeah.
shower, you know, it's.
Oh, one of those things, oh.
Right.
Well, maybe we could mount, I don't know.
They have showers.
The handheld.
Just ask when you look into it, that's all.
Yeah, this is going to be a couple years down the road on the tubs anyway. We have time to
Yeah.
figure it out.
Investigate.
But I mean, that's a good point. The one you see on TV, it's like high, right?
Yes.
Well, that's what the
Well,
door
that's
closed.
mostly for handicapped people that can't stand up. They have to sit down. So that's why they have to wait till it fills up. And then, like you said, then you're naked. You gotta sit there until the water goes out.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Otherwise you flood your bathroom when you open the door.
Yeah.
I almost closed the bathroom.
Plus if it's in the winter, it's cold.
You sit in your own.
My only question on those, Laurie, would be the seals on those doors and how long they're expected to last.
The warranty on it.
Yeah.
How can you imagine? Well, big flood going on. But that's something that we'll
Oh yeah, look into it.
get this disability
Yeah.
inspector to come out, see what he recommends, she, and then we'll try to figure out the best option for the majority of the people. I mean, we might have different kinds of tubs in different units.
Got one more question. When we get the chair, we can ride up the stairs for the handicap. No, you said you had some people on the second floor that is handicapped. Look into what it costs for them to get one of them. How do you expect a handicapped person to get up the stairs?
I can expect to move to a first floor.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, there's people that are handicapped, they can't get upstairs, where do they go?
That's,
Good point.
Back home with the kids.
Yeah.
what do they call those things?
Oh, some kind of
Stairlifts.
I ain't saying get one for every apartment. This is just for the people that can't walk up the stairs anymore, and you don't have enough first
You don't have
floors.
your first floor, so it might be a way to accommodate the need. You know, the cost, it depends on the configuration and the length,
I don't think
you
they
know.
Well, if this,
And the width of the halls to get up there.
I mean, we don't have that many people requesting, but I think as people get older, we'll probably have more. So maybe we'll look into,
Just to see what they cost, that's all.
yeah, but when those like, will, isn't that like when it goes from the first floor up to the second floor and there's just a direct chute?
Yeah, but they can go around
They can
corners.
go
They
around
have
corners.
adjustments.
They can go around
They can go
corners.
around corners.
That's a
They
big
install them, so.
corner.
Yeah, they have fancy ones that you have a stairway that goes up and then takes another flight up to
You can
the.
do
I don't know
anything. They
whether a
go
stairway is wide.
all circles.
That's
Well, that's another
That's what I just
They know I
said.
walk the other guy, he's out across the hall, you know?
Oh, they gotta take it
You
to
may have to see some of these people, like, in his tongues, don't open the door, the water goes down.
So everybody would learn, they have.
That's what I'm saying, you might have to teach a few people.
Well, we can look into it and see, but
You don't have to get all, just a few. Like you said, you had, what, 4 there, 6 here, that's only 10. And you can't get them a first floor unless you find someone that's can climb and shoot.
we can do that too. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it would actually be cheaper to move people than it would be to
To put in
to
there.
Yeah,
put the
that-
stair lift in, but
Those are expensive, I know.
Yeah, I know they're expensive. Those showers are expensive too.
That's right.
Alice?
And it is independent living.
Yeah.
So if,
But it's a way to
But
keep
still.
somebody still in their home.
and you know what,
Yes.
that whole nursing home scene,
Gotta go.
yeah. I mean, as long as we would have the money to accommodate people, then I think that would be a good use of the money. Because that nursing home scene is just,
Well, it
Sad.
wouldn't hurt you, it wouldn't hurt you.
To at least look into it.
you know,
It doesn't cost anything to get information.
no, and then we'll have a better idea.
I know several people that are having difficulty with the stairs and they've begun to request a first floor. So it's usually a gradual thing that a person knows that they're having a difficult time and they put their request in early.
I know, I couldn't walk up those stairs anymore if I was on the second floor.
Yeah, but if there's no room on the first floor, then what do they do?
Laurie, do we have double railings on those stairs?
Not in
No.
the
Because that is a big help
Yeah, the federal,
to use the stairs.
But you see, as I'm saying, it's gradual. That, so if a person knows that they can't do it for another year, they're putting their request in so they can, the first one that becomes empty, then they would go to it.
But it seems to, the request seems to follow a fall. Someone
Yeah.
fell in the apartment
Oh, that
or
too.
wherever. They ended up doing a stint in rehab, and then I seem to be getting the requests, all of a sudden they need, the doctor's signing the thing that they need a first floor,
Yeah.
which is okay. But what concerns me with that is, okay, so we're moving them to the first floor, but was it the stairs that they fell on? Or are they just having trouble with balance or sight or equilibrium, whatever? That's the same as balance, but you know what I mean? Are we just putting a Band-Aid on an infection by moving them to a first floor?
Right.
Well, that's why I suggested the double railings, because with the double railings, if people have problems with balance, they hold on to both railings.
Well, the 88 person should be able to tell me about the railings, because they have to be a certain height.
Yes,
Oh, my
they have to go
goodness.
all the way up and all the way down, I know that. There can't be any space at the top or the bottom. It's got to go all the way up.
And you know what, even people with sight, or they're losing their sight, I mean, the placement of the furniture in their apartments, I mean, does somebody come in and do like an evaluation?
They get the same person
Probably
to
they
do
can.
that. Or a
Do
mobility
you know what I mean, to
person.
make it safer for somebody, so that they're not tripping over the chair and,
Yes.
you know? I mean, a lot of times people end up with too much furniture in those rooms because they don't, you know, those are their things, they don't want to lose them, but it really is not safe to have all this stuff in, because the apartments aren't real big to begin with. I don't know.
It's things too, like throw rugs and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
They'll come in, they'll tell you everything.
And even doorbells,
Yes.
you know. So I'll get a hold of this
Thank you for
person.
your suggestions.
Something to look into anyway.
Yep. And the ADA person was in the plan, the old plan. So we've already asked HUD for the money. In the state, we have fewer state units now, so we have the money in our budget to have the person come in.
And that's a good question you can ask them too.
Because the longer people can stay here, such as it is, I think the better off they are.
Right.
And if people look out for each other, we should be in good shape. You know?
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Yes.
I live in building 3. It's right in, where the heck is it? Well, anyhow.
Okay.
When someone is going to be picking me up, okay, in the van, and the letters of the number of the building and the apartments listed are on the side of the building instead of being in the front. Because they say, well, we couldn't find a building. I said, well, because the letters are on the side instead of in where the entrance is. So, you know,
So
I don't, huh?
building numbers on the front of the building.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, because a lot of, you know, the WRTAs, they can't find us.
Yeah, we can put building numbers on the front of the buildings. That isn't a big deal, but we can't change the apartment
Well,
numbers. It's the post office. Remember?
No, but
Right,
I mean,
but you
if
could
you,
put the building number on.
Building numbers on the front of the,
but you could have it, you could just leave it,
Yeah.
just add it.
Okay, yes, you have no...
That's not the front of the building.
That's the back.
It's the fire door she's talking about. When she comes out that back door to go out, there's no number. It's not the
We can put
front.
it on, we can put it
Yeah, on the back.
on both,
Yeah,
Thank you.
you know, so that it's not just on the side
yeah.
of the building. It can be above the door.
Yes, right.
If it's above the front door or the back door, if it's on both, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it's just those three buildings at the end. It's not the other buildings, because the other buildings, their front is facing the driveway. It's the ones are inside of us, the three of us, four of us.
Yeah. But even you put the apartment numbers 21-24, even with the building number, so that, because if everything's on the side and it's in the where the mailboxes are, but there's nothing in the where we go out the, I call it
It's
the
over
front.
there.
I call it the front door, but it's the back door.
Right.
So
Okay, are we all set to close the hearing? Do we have to do this? Regular vote, or do we have to use that?
We kind of open it, so.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second. All in favor?